Joining us now from Nashville, Tennessee, Roger Simon. He's a co-founder of PJ Media, a website I like. PJ Media. I like the website. Thoughtful columns there. And Mr. Simon wrote a column on the media over the weekend. And here he is to tell us what his view overall of the American press is at this moment.
Well, the thesis of my piece was that journalism doesn't exist, which I guess
doesn't exist. It's completely gone.
Show at the moment, because the thesis is that everybody's biased. I'd like to come up to a second to something you said very early on while I was listening about Buzzfeed, because I certainly agree with you about Buzzfeed. I think it's garbage, and I don't go there. And I think I've gone to the website twice, and I can't remember the first time. But I think everybody in your audience has to remember that it's really scary, Buzzfeed, because it is what millennials read. It's the future of our country. And they are being handed this propaganda. And I don't know how we contradict it, but we got to understand that it's, people like us in our advanced years, we're not the BuzzFeed audience. And these kids are being fed this crap, and then they believe it. And that's one of the reasons that they don't deny or admit anything. Even when they're caught with their pants down, as they were in this particular instance about the Trump Moscow Tower business, they just don't want to disabuse their audience that they're the place that the cool stuff is. And the cool stuff will end up being, probably the best analysis would be Venezuela. But, media in general, I think what's great, best media, and I always watch your show here and back on Fox and all over, because you admitted your bias.
Yeah, I don't like BuzzFeed. I don't respect BuzzFeed, and I always do that. But you know what the danger is, Roger? There are propaganda websites. They're legion. They're everywhere. And millennial people, yes, you're right. They consume this because they're not sophisticated enough intellectually to separate propaganda from reality, and they want their own political preferences reinforced. But that's what's going on forever. But here's the difference. You and I were brought up in an era where the mainstream corporate-run press that has the access of the airwaves coast to coast had standards. You had to do stuff to prove your story was correct. When I worked at ABC and CBS News, I come in with a story, I had to show them before they put it on the air how I knew it and who was saying it. Now you don't have to do that. You can take a BuzzFeed report, a propaganda piece of garbage, and then say, oh, what if it's true? And then blow it up into this big thing where the casual consumer thinks it's true.
It's the Churchill line really ramped up. What was the line by Churchill? The truth goes around the world before a lie goes around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on. That was in Churchill's time. Now, a lie goes around the world before the truth can even move a finger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary, and how we contradict it is. I don't know. I mean, it's easy to criticize, but it's hard to find a solution because the media is so rapid fire and so rabid to jump on something, especially if it's anti-Trump, then,
Well, the consumer has to rebel, and it's happening. If you look at the cable news ratings and the network news ratings, it's happening. The consumer basically is saying, we know it's all garbage. We know we're watching presentations that don't really care about the truth. They have an agenda. We're not going to watch it anymore. That's happening. And that's the only way that this is going to change. When the newspapers go out of business, but as long as Trump's in the seat, they're not going to go out of business because people will tune in to see Trump, pro or con. Once Trump goes, wait till you see what happens, Roger. Where do you see what
That
happens?
would be interesting, because the one thing you can say about Trump, whether you're pro or con Trump, he is the most theatrical character that's ever been in the presidency, at least in our lifetime. Maybe, I don't know, Andrew Jackson or something. But I mean, if he had a late night talk show, forget all these other clowns. He'd beat Jack Parr out of his grave.
Well,
I mean,
the tragedy of this is that the founding fathers created special exemptions for the press. And it's clearly stated by Madison and Jefferson that they did this because somebody had to watch the powerful people and report to the folks what was to their benefit and what was not. That's gone. By and large, in this country, that it has evaporated. So now you have propaganda being protected. That's what you have being protected.
Is a wing of the Democratic Party at this point.
Well, as I wrote in my column this week, the Democratic Party is now allied with the corporate media. All right? Yeah. They're in business together to get Trump out.
Yep. Not only that, to get Trump out and to cement their, power. I mean, because Trump's a threat to their power, obviously, but they're also, they want to be there forever as a one-party system. Like I fled California for Nashville because I couldn't stand it anymore.
Well, that's an interesting point. That the media chieftains now want to be the society shapers. They want to be the policy shapers. They don't want Congress to do it anymore. The media chieftains want to do it. And guess what that's reminiscent of? Totalitarian regimes.
Pravda Izvestia. Pravda Izvestia and Buzzfeed. The American Izvestia.
Yeah. Well, I think Buzzfeed is done, even though some millennials will go in. But you know what? I wouldn't buy a Toyota for the rest of my life because they're sponsoring that. And this works both ways, this boycott stuff. Now, I'm not calling for boycott. I don't believe in boycotts. I think they're wrong. Okay? But me, Toyota? That's it. Roger, thanks very much. We really appreciate it. And go to PJ Media. It's a good website. Okay.